Nations 2016. And support us with organizers of this event. Welcome to the open ceremony of Battle of the Nations 2016. 30 countries in this day again meeting pride. Thank you very much for this great city for welcome us and support us with organizers of this event. Thank you very much for all people who watch us in YouTube online streaming. And of course, best riders and my big respect for all national teams, all fighters, all support teams, civil participants, and all other people who help us make this great championship. Battle of the Nations 2016! And now, could you please start a hymn of this year, fighting on our list in Battle of the Nations, most popular and big event in full contact armor battles, historical medieval battles. This year, of course, national team of Czech Republic. National team, Argentina.
The most points category, 21 versus 21.
National team, Australia.
First fight, Russia versus USA. Fighters, please get ready and come to the list. After that, Ukraine versus Hungary.
National team,
And then Belarus versus France.
Team Canada. First year of this. Welcome to our country.
Я понял.
National team, Germany. Our guests and welcome us fighters and we hope future national team. 3 fighters from Chile. Respectful guys for
Но они у нас есть.
next national team, Denmark. Next national team in Battle of the Nations of this year, Estonia. National team of Finland. team, I think. National team of France. National team of Hungary. And of course, this game was national team of Israel.
Dámy a pánové, přivítejte národní tým Ruska!
Please welcome Russian national team.
To you all. If you're just joining us now, you can see the first of the 21 versus 21 battles. Russia versus USA. We've had the promises to be something absolutely exceptional. These are the, of course, the Russian team is the champion, the reigning champion of the 21 versus 21 category. The USA, however, have proven themselves more than worthy opponents on several occasions. Immensely strong and immensely well prepared. As you can see, it's a fine day here in Petrin Hill, in Prague, Czech Republic. And a nice turnout today. Of course, the 21 versus 21 does pose some problems for the marshals. As with the categories, you have marshals in several places in the list, but they have to be extremely careful in this, not to get caught up in action. You can see the USA entering the list now. Very, very popular there with the crowd. And you can see the wall of Russians. And some conferring there from the 3 night marshals there. Again, they're going to have their work cut out with this battle. And communication is going to be the key. And in fact, in this particular category, it's crucial that there is a lot of signal and sign communication between marshals, because the vocal communication is going to be very, very limited, especially with the crowd, who will be deeply involved in this battle. You can see the Ukrainian fighters there waiting for their turn. They will be up next. Take a little moment there to relax. It's a beautiful day, but the sun is beating down quite a bit. And I think a lot of fighters are going to take the advantage of getting a bit of shade. But of course, it's not the sun that makes things difficult. The fact that some of the helmets, and you can see the Russian helmet there, which has a relatively good passing of air, but some people with the closed helms have a little more difficulty. You can see there, just in the middle, you've got a closed helm. So the weight of the armor is not so much a problem there. It's more the fact that air doesn't pass. Visibility, of course, is limited. So it's not so much the weight of the armor that causes problem, it's the breathing. Of course, historically speaking, in the actual battles, the combat lasted only about 3 minutes, and they attacked their opponents wave after wave. You can see there the shields of the Russian team. Some of them, of course, are from Club BOTN. And great response there from the Czech crowd. Very, very involved in this. This is, of course, the second year running. And you have the Night Marshal there, Alexander Davidov.
The Team USA, the Team Russia, and we are ready for the official opening of our first mass battle day.
And here it is.
Just one thing, one purpose to say to all the teams that are on the battlefield, that will continue the battle after them. First of all, I wish good luck, fight without injuries. I'll give my place to the Night Marshal Matsarel from Poland. And just one thing to tell to national captains. To make our work easier, better, to make no crowd, there are accepted only 2 support for each team in 21 versus 21 and a captain or representative for both nominations. Good luck to all of you. Matsei, you're welcome to
Wishes
start
of
the
luck there
battle.
from
Thank you.
Alexander Davidov. Also reminds the teams not to have more than 2 supporters just outside the list, as it does become too crowded there, and marshals have limited space, so it does become quite dangerous. And in fact, there will be a penalty imposed if twice. There'll be a yellow card penalty imposed if a team is guilty of that infraction twice. Some nice messages there. You can see there the Americans using the mace, so weapon not favoured by the Russians. They generally prefer to use the halberds, the polearms, because they're very, very tall team. They've got the height advantage, so the taller the fighter, the better advantage you get with the polearm, because there's longer reach. There's this idea that some teams have, some newer teams, that they give the shorter fighters, the fighters of lower stature, the polearm because it gives them a little increase. But in fact, it's not the right thing to do. The best thing is to use your tallest fighters and play to their advantage, their height. And the fighters now are ready for battle.
USA. First round, fight!
And we're off, and the Russians go straight into it, moving very, very quickly. There you can see they go smacking into each other. And there's some very nice work. We can't see if anybody is down yet. Limited visibility, some crushing blows there from the Russians. And there seems to be quite a lot of force. Look at this, they're absolutely wedging into each other. Some great maneuvers there from the Americans, pushing away at the Russians. There's already an American down, 2 Americans down, there's a Russian down as well. Get to the marshal there, moving forward, and the Russians are advancing. And the Russians have gone back, and I think they've got control of this fight. You can see some hacking blows there with the falchion against Russian. There's another American down. You can see the wall of Russians, the waiting. There are Americans on the ground everywhere, and there are more standing Russians, and I've had hot dinners. That was amazing. Victory there to Russia, and what a victory it was. Absolutely stunning. That's Russia 1. And of course, just checking that all the fighters are okay. The marshal saying everything's all right. There's a brotherly touch there from the Russian to the American. The Russian just needs to go on the list there, perhaps for a replacement. 16-0. Absolutely insane.
Fighters, please get ready for the second round.
And as they prepare now for round 2, you can see the American there on his back. He's got his shoulder armor loose. That's got to be fixed. That's got to be noticed by the marshals. It's right in front of him. You can see just at the bottom of the screen there, and he walks right past that loose shoulder. There it is. You can see as he turns around. They've got to be careful of that. They risk a serious injury there. And so the Russian team there prepare themselves for round 2 of this. The Americans will need to collect themselves, but altogether I think the Russians have a much better strategy of keeping that wall behind the attacking knights. The Americans seem to be a bit more clustered. Of course, the Russians generally go for an early burst. And moving in now are the fighters for the second round of this best of 3 competition. As you can see, the American team are a formidable size. And they're certainly very, very big fighters, and it must be extremely hard to ground them. So they prepare now. The Night Marshal just checking with. Okay, there seem to be some counting the numbers, of course. He's checking that they're neither over nor under. And they've got 22, it seems. So want us to go out. There's a higher count there from the American team. Well, I'm sure that was not deliberate.
Second round.
And here we go, second round. You can see that firm line of the advanced Russian fighters. They make a quick advance this time, a breakaway from the Americans, and it's straight in with the Falchions there. And it seems like the first American is down. I'm not sure if he took a Russian out with him. The back line, you can see the reserves of Russians waiting to strike down, and there's a massive push there on the left-hand side of the screen. Some Russians have already been taken down, but there are also more Americans straight into the fray. And there are more downed Americans there, and the Americans are moving back. The Russians are pushing them way forward. It's a heavy clinch there. On the side, you have fighters holding on. A massive blow to the American there. And you can see the halberd moving forward, and it's being taken down. A massive blow there by the Russian. And we can see some Americans hanging on, clinching. But I think, again, this round is going to go to the Russians. They're standing back. They're taking their time. They're being very, very calm about it. Some massive blows there from the halberders. Huge blows now. Again, it is all Russia. They're pushing down so hard, giving so much pressure on the Americans, and it is 1 against 3 in the corner. I'm not sure how long he'll be able to keep it going. Again, the resilience of the Americans is something formidable, however. They're taking so much punishment. And it's been started. Again, it's a victory to the Russians. What an absolutely incredible fight. And the Americans did not make it easy there for the Russians. But of course, you can see that they pushed back the lines.
16-0, Russia.
But once again, it was 16-0. Incredible.
2-0. The victory goes to Russia.
And are the victors. Twice over, they got 16 fighters to 0.
And the next fight, Ukraine versus Hungary.
And we now welcome the Ukrainian and Hungarian teams.
Versus France. And then Germany versus Czech Republic.
For some exciting fights here. Of course, the difficult thing about the 21 versus 21 is to make sure you have enough fighters. And a massive applause there for the Russian team, and they really deserve it. Incredible fight there. They showed such strength and a great bond with them. There's a certain level of trust that you can see with these Americans, the Russians, excuse me. And of course, we'll have some help to rake the sand there, which is extremely